got started back in the early to mid 90s doing live television and music. When I moved out to Los Angeles in 2003, I started in episodic television, cable television, and then moved into feature films. When I moved out to Los Angeles, my previous live television experience helped me get my first mixing gig on some cable television shows for Discovery, Animal Planet, Health Network. And at the facility I was working at the time, I had some opportunities mixing a short film, a feature film. After I mixed the first couple of films, I really fell in love with the storytelling aspect. I really wanted to pursue that avenue career-wise, and just made it a point to go in the direction of film mixing. For me, there was no first break per se. It's just been a long road. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of talented directors, picture editors, re-recording mixers, sound supervisors who have taught me a lot over the years and just help educate me in the craft. How I approach any project is communication, first of all. You have to be in touch with your sound supervisor, know what tracks are coming your way on the mix stage. You have to be in touch with the facility you're mixing at, find out what console, number of inputs, and have an S6 where you're mixing everything in the box. You also try to get involved with the spotting session, preview the film before with the director, with the picture editor, and just find out what direction the filmmakers are going at creatively. That way, once you hit the mix stage, once you start pre-dubbing, once you start final mixing, you have an idea on where they want to go with it. My approach to starting a show like Sense8 on Netflix compared to a feature film mix is that it comes down to time. With television, you have less time overall compared to a feature, so you need to make sure that everything's planned out really well, that you are working as efficiently as possible. There's not a whole lot of time to experiment. You are moving fast through your pre-dubs to the final mix, but the big thing is to pick your priorities. Once you make your pass on the pre-dubs, you see what's in front of you and the material you have, and you try to make the best judgment as far as where to spend your creative time, what little you have on a TV type schedule. You just try to pick your battles on where you spend your time. When a show shoots globally and you get production sound cutting back and forth between a location in one country and then a separate location in another country, and it's the same scene, it does make it difficult. The picture editorial crew will go through, listen to the actors' performances. The dialogue editors will do the same. And what we get on the stage is kind of the best combination of all that. So they've done a really good job at that point as far as evening out any inconsistencies. But my job is to take it a step further and make it sound like there's no difference in location, regardless of time of day, the location it was shot, what was going on around the actors at the time. So I'll use a combination of filtering, noise reduction plugins, EQ, in order to get that sound where it's consistent from shot to shot. I started using McDSP products in probably 2001, 2002. Filter Bank was the first plugin I started using. It was my favorite EQ. It just had a really nice sound to it. I loved the high pass filter. I also was a big fan of Analog Channel. At the time, there wasn't a lot of headroom in Pro Tools, so one way I was able to recreate a more analog type console path was with Analog Channel. The McDSP plugins that I'm favoring these days are the SA2, the ML8000, and Futzbox. SA2 I use on my dialogue, my ADR, also on my footsteps. The ML8000 I will use a lot for voiceover. For Futzbox, I use it a lot on dialogue and sometimes music as well. Sounds coming out of TVs, telephones, bullhorns, speakers, music playing out of speakers in a restaurant. With the ML8000, I love to use that on voiceover. Actors will typically work the microphone, and when they get closer to the mic, you tend to get a proximity effect that makes the sound inconsistent. So I will set up 1 or 2 bands in the lower frequencies of the voice that will help control the proximity effect. So when the actor moves in and the bass frequencies are boosted, I'll actually use the EQ to pull some of that out to maintain a consistent tone. Another thing I like about the ML8000 is the peak limiter built in. I will use this at the very end of my dialogue chain and set a true peak limit based upon the specs. If it's a film mix, I just go a little below 0 to avoid any clipping. And then if it's for any kind of network project, I will find out the specs from the producers and go to a setting where we don't clip, also where we hit their true peak specs. So having that functionality built into a plugin that I'm already using is a huge benefit. The SA2 plugin I use in a few different ways. One is a de-esser. I'll use it in conjunction with another de-esser to chip away at the sibilance issues. I don't like to overprocess too much with one plugin. I'll use the SA2 at a later stage in the dialogue chain to kind of smooth out what's left. You end up with a much smoother top end in the dialogue. Another use for the SA2 plugin is when an actor yells, they can get really harsh, bitey frequencies in their voice. So I like to use the lower band, sometimes the lower 2 bands, use an aggressive setting in the SA2. And what it'll do is pull out some of those really harsh frequencies. The dialogue won't sound compressed, but you won't have that just bite that kind of takes your head off. So it just works as a frequency selective compressor to make someone yelling really smooth and give it a good tone. For me, what I love about working in the film industry is I feel it's the most collaborative thing that you can do as a job, being part of movie making. Films influence us as kids, as adults. It changes who we become and things we enjoy doing in life. So I just love being a part of that process and working with other extremely talented individuals that are at the top of their craft as well, and just making a product that people will enjoy, be inspired by, and being part of that process is extremely, I feel extremely lucky and fortunate to be here.